My name is Oyenuga. I'm a cloud architect and I work with Cisco Systems. And essentially, I wanted to talk to you about how you can automate your cloud infrastructure with Python and serverless. So, why do we try to do this before? I'm sure you've all been in a situation where you're asking yourselves, working with AWS. Okay, there's something wrong with my slide now. It's not loading. Can you see my slides? Okay, you know what? No slides. This has happened to me before. So I'm sure you've all been in a situation where you're working with AWS, Azure, GCP, and you're wondering, why can't I automate this? Why doesn't this work the way I think it should work? Um, the good news is, yes, you can. Yes, you can. Okay, finally. So why can't I do this? Why isn't this automated? Why isn't this supported? Right? I've asked myself that question many times, trying to do different things on AWS or Azure. And the good news is, yes, you can. The reason why you can is because these cloud providers do something very interesting, which is everything you do on the console is an API at the end of the day, and they make those APIs available to use within your code for your application. So, for example, imagine building an application that uses the S3 API or a Redshift API, for example. But just to go into a bit of the automation part, Butter3 is your friend. So Butter3 is the Python SDK for AWS, if you just use AWS as the example. And to talk about what serverless is before I go into explaining what some of the things I've done, serverless infrastructure is, okay, simple explanation. So imagine being able to run your code without worrying about anything that has to do with the computer. You don't worry about a Linux kernel. You don't worry about CPU memory. You just say run this code when this happens. So it's sort of event driven. So it's an event driven architecture. And examples of serverless products are like AWS Lambda, which I'm sure you somehow heard of, Azure Functions, GCP, Cloud Functions. So I want to show you an example. So one of the problem statements I've hit before is I have an AWS account and developers keep connecting, trying to SSH into Linux servers. And then the first thing they do is they go to the security group and they allow SSH access from all around the world, 0.0.0/0, which is really, really bad. Believe me, it's very bad. I've seen compromised instances because of that. So I asked myself, why can't we somehow automate deleting those security group ingress, whatever that developers create? So I built something called SSH cop. It's very, very crude Lambda code written in Python 3, and it's pretty bad. Aisha probably knows this. It took me like 5 days to figure it out. But it's possible. So what this uses is it uses AWS Lambda, and it runs every 24 hours to just delete everything that is public access to all your instances. Another example is we want to, so AWS has this feature now, but we wanted to snapshot all our volumes every 3 hours on the account. This feature wasn't there, so what we decided to do was automate it. So the essence of all of this is whatever you think you're missing on your cloud infrastructure, the first thing you should do is just try and see if you can possibly do it with the APIs that are available. So again, yes, we can, and Butter3 is your friend. So again, the documentation for Butter3 is, you can just Google Butter3 documentation, and it's the Python SDK for AWS. All right, thank you guys.